I hope you'll enjoy this friendly but thoughtful conversation about a fascinating new work by S.C. Sayles. This one's called Entropy of the Soul, Evil, Disorder, and the Eternal Triumph. Let's get to it. What's the big question at the heart of Sayles' Entropy of the Soul? At its core, the book is grappling with the idea of evil. Where does it come from? Is evil a real substantial thing in the universe? Or is it more like the absence of good? That is evil some big ontological rival to goodness? Or is it, well, a parasite, something that can't really exist without feeding off of what is good and whole? This is a compelling problem, and one with real relevance, right? Because when we look out at the world, violence, betrayal, suffering, personal struggles with addiction or despair, we often want to ask, what is evil? How does it persist if everyone claims to hate it? Is it just a shadow in the mind, or is it something real? So here's what Sayles does in the book. He approaches the question in two parts. First, he takes us on a big, sweeping journey, basically the history of human morality. This is ancient tribal taboos, the codification of law in Mesopotamia, Egypt's mart, Greece, and the birth of philosophy, the codes of India and so on, all the way through to modern secular relativism. It's quite a trip. He shows how pretty much all human cultures have tried to nail down what's good and evil, and just how stubborn and resilient the concept of evil is, even when societies try to explain it away. But the second part is where things get really intriguing, maybe even controversial. Sayles makes the case that evil is not some kind of equal and opposite force against good, but rather something he calls an ontological parasite. Evil in this system is like spiritual entropy. It's not its own thing, it's what happens when goodness unravels. Think rust on metal, or rot in an apple, or a disease invading a healthy body. None of those parasites exist without a host, right? Evil, for Sayles, is like that. It can only exist by corrupting good. Now, how does he get there? He draws on a ton of sources, Augustine, Aquinas, C.S. Lewis, but the real move is bringing in this concept of entropy. In physics, entropy is all about the gradual slide from order into disorder, right? Everything trends toward chaos. Sayles borrows this idea and says, you know what? Evil is spiritual entropy. It's disorder and decay in the moral and spiritual parts of life. He lays this out in both philosophical and scriptural terms. He points to passages from Genesis and the letters of Paul and the Gospel of John that characterize evil as a corruption of what is fundamentally good. Augustine's old line comes up, evil has no positive nature, but the loss of good has received the name evil. Sayles and thinkers like C.S. Lewis hammer away at the idea, evil doesn't stand alone. Without good to leech off, evil withers. Hang on, I want to circle back, because I think for listeners, the most relevant question is, so what? What does this view mean for everyday life? Well, if evil is a parasite, if it's like entropy in the soul, then the implication is evil never builds, it only consumes. It never produces, it only rots. So in your own life, or in society at large, the signs of evil aren't just active wrongdoing, but the slow unraveling of order, the slide away from goodness, the decay of relationships, the collapse of meaning. I guess what's kind of challenging here is that the parasite model puts responsibility back in our lap. It says, if the world feels disordered, or if your own heart feels like it's unraveling, notice where light is being blocked out, where order is being neglected. And I know that sounds intense, but the bright spot in Sayles' argument is that if evil is only a parasite, then it doesn't get the last word. It eats itself out of existence. Order and goodness are more real in the deepest sense. And then there's this whole dimensional model Sayles brings in, which it's wild. But, okay, he argues there are created realms, or shamayim, based on some detailed readings of scripture. There's the physical dimension, a sort of soul realm, and the highest third heaven. That idea is kind of metaphysical, feels out there, but it's meant to picture how human nature functions across different axes, body, soul, each open to different forms of order or disorder. I mean, all that to say, as a listener, you might not buy this specific cosmology, but it's engaging to see how scholars are blending science metaphors, biblical thought, philosophy, all to get at something that hits our daily experience. Moving on. So, to wrap up, what are you left with as a listener? Entropy of the Soul says, evil lasts only as long as it can draw on good. It's a shadow, a decay, not a rival creation. The hope, and this is a theme Sayles emphasizes, is that ultimately order and love endure.